Hi everyone, welcome to GIS Man. I'm Miles Lee. This video is to continue with the last video which talks about how to develop the customized hierarchy layer widgets in ArcGIS Experience Builder. So let's get started. In the last video, we built up the data structures for the hierarchy layers. We established the basic functions to create the feature layer, and we also register the state of each layer, either is checked or unchecked, in the state of the React.js. So this video we are going to focus on the rendering. So let's get started. Firstly, we will need to grep the array name, which is the first level layer's name from the data structures. So what we are going to do is establish the constants data source keys by the native JavaScript object. This .layers.sources. Okay. Then after that, we need to establish a function block inside the return HTML code. Again, we will need to use the source keys, which are scripts, and pass it through the map. Map is a high-level function of JavaScript. Invest, and then this is the arrow functions again. To avoid the confusion, we will need to rename the key into the layer group to represent the first level layer, like what you can see, the boundary, APS, environment, planning, and so on. So we will need to write the HTML code in the React.js. We will use the return function, and inside the return function we will write some codes. We will need to write some HTML code. Firstly, we need to establish one of the root level div tag. And then we will have the list group, and we will have the collapse. The list group is to control the whole list, including the first layer and the second layers, first level layers and second level layers. And then the collapse group is to control the second level layers. So we will need to establish these structures. So for the first level layer, we have the icon, we have the checkbox, and we have the keywords. So we need to have the row and the column. We need to have two columns. Yeah, and just adjust a little bit about its size. The first column we'll put the icon inside, and the second one we'll put the checkbox and the key. So we will implement the second column first. Because it's more important. Here we will use the event functions. The event function defaultly will have 2 parameters, but in our self-defined functions, we can pass another parameters in it. So we can give a layer group to our defined function, and then follow with the key. Okay, this one is not constructed yet, so we will write it just behind our React.js lifecycle function. We will define it right here. Change first, which is the arrow function, and then we need to pass the layer group check. We need to pass these 2 variables in this function. So I will explain what we are going to do in these functions. Okay. We will use the layer group, which is the key of the array, to find each object inside the array. Firstly, we will use this key, find this key, and then we will get this array, and then we will find all of the objects, which is the layer, which will represent the second level layer. Yeah, in the array. So what we are going to do is use the high level JavaScript map functions to grip each layer from the array. So after we have this, we will set the state. We set the state for each layer. When we set the state, we just need to make the negation of the current state. Okay, yeah, we just need to take the negation of the current state of each layer. And after this, actually here we need to do another steps, but for this one, we will need to write the second level layers render first. So we go back to our HTML code. This is gonna to be happen in the collapse. So for the collapse tag, we will firstly give it the true, but I mean later we will write something here. It also depends on the state changes. So inside the collapse, it has a control block to control the behavior of the second level layer. Layer sources. also use a high level function of the JavaScript. Firstly, use the key, again use the key from the previous steps to find out each objects inside the data structures. The key represents the array name. Yeah, so we find out each object inside the array. Yeah. And then with that, to avoid the confusion, we will need to rename the layer to be a layer inform, which represents each object's information, which is each layer's information. Yep. So we would need to return the HTML code like here. We need to write a div for the second layer. Yep. So after that, again, we will have a checkbox. We will have a checkbox and a key for the second layer. Second level layer. Yep. Whether it's checked or not is depend on the state again. So the state is really, really important in not only this application, but in all React.js related applications. And then we need to set up the second level layer activation event, the change event. Again, it's very similar to the first level layers change event. So we just copy and paste that. We did change, and this one we are gonna to change it to the second level. Yeah. And we will pass the layer inform instead of the layer group this time in it. Yeah. Yeah, just mix up tag closure. Yeah, pretty much is something like that. Then we can write the layer name, or layer inform name. Actually, they represent the same things, which is the name of each layer. Okay. So what we are going to do now is to implement the onChange functions for the second level layer. I'm going to write it just behind our first level layer onChange function. Change second equals to layer inform and then checked. Okay. So what we are going to do here, is firstly we will need to see if the event change is a check or unchecked. If it's a check, so what we are going to do is to set a state for each layer and also create the layer from URL and put this layer into the map. If it's false, we're going to do is to function by URL, and then use the URL and use the layer ID of each object in the array to create a layer. Okay. We continue to put this into our maps layers collections. We put it on top. These zeros mean we put it on top of the layer collections. And then after that, don't forget set a state, which is very important to our logic. Yeah, because we check the check status is true, so we set the state is true as well. Okay. So if the check status is not true, which is false, so we need to remove the layers from the map. How to find this layer? We will use a function called find layer by ID. This is inside the ArcGIS API for JavaScript. And now we will delete it from the map. And again, don't forget to set the state. This time we set it to be false. Okay. So the onChange functions have been set up for both the first level layer and the second level layers. Yeah, how come it's still saying something wrong? We will need to double check about this. Layers onChange second, sometimes. Form checked, layers onChange second. Okay. Yeah, should be alright. So we will need to, the next step, we are going back to the HTML code and set up the icon and set up the event for the icon. The effect we need is that when the second layer is not expanded, this will show the plus, and when the second layer is expanded, it will show the minus. So we are going to do that. Firstly, we still need a tag. We need a basic tag, and then we will need an icon. Here, what we are going to do is use the GUI UI item. And there are two items, which is add icon and minus icon, and we will need to get this based on the behavior, whether the second layer, second level layers is expanded or collapsed. We will need to use that to judge which icon we will return. So we will use instant execution functions right here, and then we will need to write this dot icon and pass a layer group name inside. Yeah. And give it a size, category size around 10. In the development we are using cloud. Use blue. Okay. And also in the div we will need to set up an event for click. Build a toggle function and pass the key. Yeah. Okay. We will establish. We will define these two functions on top. So let's go back to our code part. For the toggle function, it's easy. Just set the state, because everything is driven by the data. So yeah, set the state. Just give an negation of the state. That's it. Very easy. And for the get icon function, we pass a layer group's name. What we are going to do is to check the state. What we are going to do is to check the current state of the layer group, which means of the first level layer. If it's true, then which means that it is already expanded, we give it a minus. Otherwise, we give it a plus. Yep. So far everything I think is okay. Let's take another look to see if there are something that we missed before we go into the running of the code. We type something wrong. This is a mistake. So now it should be fine. Everything should be okay. Looks good. Yeah, we format the code a little bit to make this to be a little bit good looking. So everything seems to be fine. Oh, we missed something. Yeah, right here. When I wrote it in the development, I wrote it on one go, but because of the presentation, I mean, yeah, sometimes we need to order the descriptions. So we miss something here. Here, every time something change on the first level of the layer, we will need to affect the second level. So we will need to execute the second level on change functions inside the first level layer functions like this, because no matter when the first layer setters change, it will affect the second layer. It will affect the second level. Yeah, no matter whenever the first level change, it will affect the second level. So we are going to execute this. So everything looks good now. Let's take a run. Good luck. So okay, login. Yeah, it should be okay. Yeah. Now you can see there are two levels of layers. One is the mother group, and the other one is the sub layers. And then we have oh, it's a big mistake right here. You can see it does not really collapse or expanded. You need to go back to code to check why. Pass the key in, and this one click. Yeah, so you see the answer is right here. At the beginning we set it to be true for convenience purpose, but actually this is also controlled by the state. So we are going to change this. And I'm pretty sure that this time everything should be right. Let's take a look. Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it should be collapse and expand. And you can select single layer or multi-layer at once. No problem at all. Everything is good. Okay, so this is the end of this video, and in the next part I'm going to show you how to deploy the application on your ArcGIS portal. And thanks for watching. See you. Bye.